Hey, welcome back. Some breaking news. I bet you just felt it. 5.1 earthquake just detected outside Malibu at this point in time.
7:28. We were just chatting during the break, and we started feeling the shaking, and it seemed a little prolonged, a very steady roll.
Yeah.
And we were debating whether to go under the desk. We did see our lights swaying a little bit, so a little scary. But again, at this point, we know it was a 5.1 centered in Malibu.
I think we have the seismograph if we want to go ahead and take a look at it right now. If we're going to be pulling it up. But yeah, it was about 8 miles from Thousand Oaks is what I'm seeing online right now, just outside Malibu. 5.1 is much bigger than we've seen over the last, we've had these earthquakes, you know, the last two have been about 3.9, 4.0, somewhere in there. But it was kind of an interesting quake, as you said, prolonged and not necessarily a deep roll.
It wasn't like jolting. It was a very steady roll for about a minute. Not too strong, but we definitely felt it here. Of course, this is on the heels of the quake we had over the weekend in the Inland Empire. And of course, before that, in the Valley, the 4.0 or in the 4 magnitude.
Yeah,
so this is one of the stronger ones we felt.
It is. I'm getting messages from my neighbors down in Marina Del Rey saying they felt it as well. Paul, we want to head over to you. You've got some information for us?
Yeah, just some graphics that we've had in our wheelhouse here. We can take our weather maps full. Magnitude 5.0 earthquakes or stronger. In California, that only happens about 2.5 times per year for the entire state. You'll remember the one that we had near Bakersfield a month or two ago. That's the second one in Southern California. So a magnitude 5 earthquake is rather infrequent, but it just happened. The depth of this was 9 kilometers deep. That's a relatively shallow earthquake. Because you can be much deeper where it's not felt as widespread. This one was pretty shallow, 5 or 6 miles deep. 5.1 magnitude. Now remember, this is logarithmic, so a 5 isn't a little bit stronger than a 4. A 5 is 10 times stronger than a 4, and a 4 is 10 times stronger than a 3. So you hear about a 3.5, 3.6. This is like 100 times stronger than that. There was some pretty good shaking here in Studio City. Now, the big ones, magnitude 6.5 or stronger, that happens once in California every 4 years. Those are the ones that can cause significant damage. Magnitude 5s, though, rather rare, only 2.5 per year on average for the entire state of California. Folks, we've had 2 since the start of summer. Back to you.
Earthquakes too. Paul, thank you. Those shallow earthquakes generally more damaging than the deeper ones. So we're going to have to see, as people are probably starting to get up, felt it, some of what may have occurred over the course of the viewing area. Let's go ahead and get a check-in now at the desk with Mark Liu. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, well, Jamie, I felt it just as well as you did here at the assignment desk, and the scanners lit up. Also, the LA County Fire Department, LA City Fire Department going into what's called earthquake mode, where they're going to send crews out into the field to check for any damage. What you're looking at here on your screen is the update from the U.S. Geological Service, and I want you to note here the review status right now is listed as automatic. That means that a size, that the seismograph has not been reviewed by a scientist yet. So this is just an automated response so far. They're calling it a magnitude of 5.1. This could change when a seismologist reviews the data. Sometimes we can see it go up or down depending upon whether or not a scientist decides that the data is accurate here. Now, as Paul had mentioned, it's a depth about 9 kilometers down. That's not too deep, but not too shallow either. Time 7:28. Now, the next thing I want to show you here is on the map. The automated data has reviewed it. As we said, it's in Malibu, and it looks like it's in the hills to the north of the Horn of Malibu here. You know, Zuma Beach, for those of you familiar, is right around here. That's Zuma. This is currently listed automated as the epicenter of the quake. So in the hills there, but, this could change as scientists review this data. The U.S. Geological Survey, they operate with a lot of sensors that bring the data together, and it's collated by a computer. And this is where they say the epicenter is, and again at a 5.1. Now that could go up or down based on when a scientist reviews all of this. But right now here at the desk, what we're doing, listening to the radio traffic from LA City Fire and LA County Fire. Certainly their Lost Hills Malibu station of the sheriffs are going to be heading out into the field here and checking to make sure if there's any damage, and also the 911 dispatch center looking for any damage. Now, we've covered lots of earthquakes here in Southern California. 5.1 is certainly enough to possibly knock things off of shelves, maybe even cause cracks in walls, certainly near the epicenter. This area of Malibu is populated in the hills here. It looks like there's a major road. I'm going to have to go to a different map here to see which road that is. It looks like it's basically right off of Canaan Doom. That's what I thought. And we're going to keep monitoring this. When we get more information, I'll let you know. Jamie?
Mark, thank you for that. We're getting a number of people texting in, including Pat Harvey, who felt it in Bell Canyon, she says, this morning. Cara Finstrom also letting us know that her son at LMU got some alerts saying there was, and he's reporting major shaking there. We now want to go to one of our executive producers, Matt Callinger, who is in Agora Hills right now. Matt, what did you feel?
Hi there, Jamie. We felt a lot here. It was a quick roll, and then it was a huge jolt, and then it rolled for like another probably 20 seconds to 30 seconds. A couple things fell off some shelves, but it was definitely significant, and definitely significant here. But we were sitting around, and dogs came running in and freaked out, and everything was kind of chaos for a second.
I can hear the dogs, I think, in the background. You said some things fell off shelves. Is there much damage? Have you been able to check your property and see if there's anything, outside or structurally that ended up happening?
Yeah, no damage like that. It was just a couple things that were like loose on shelves that ended up falling off the shelves. Looked outside at the time. The pool was shaking. The water was going all around, and then it just it was the normal shake. It was a huge shake and then a roll after that. But it definitely felt it, and it was definitely something that got everybody's attention.
No doubt, yeah. Matt, you're obviously in Agora Hills, so you definitely felt it stronger than we did. You're closer to Malibu. This past weekend, September 7th, we had that quake in Ontario, 4 miles from Ontario. So it just seems like we're experiencing these quakes more and more here in SoCal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm born and raised in Southern California, so I'm used to it at this point. But no matter when it happens, when it feels like this, it's definitely something that gets your attention and makes you think if you have everything in order and all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's when you say things loose on the shelves. I'm thinking, oh yeah, I meant to secure a couple photos and that type of thing. It's a good reminder, I think, for people, as you said, to get some of those things in order. And if you don't have your earthquake kit ready to go, do that. Have the shoes next to the bed. There's a number of different tips we've learned over the years as Californians.
Batteries and radios and
flashlights.
All that. Water, absolutely. Matt, do you see any of your neighbors outside gathering? Is there commotion going on in your neighborhood?
I haven't seen anybody outside that was out, but I also didn't run outside to the front yard at first. But I can actually, I'll walk out while I'm talking to you. But no, it was something that the main thing was that that it started with the roll. It didn't feel like it was going to be a whole lot, and then the jolt was fairly significant when it happened, and then it just kept rolling. It seemed like for a very long time. There's a couple people out, but nothing much going on.
I'm hearing from people, in the Palisades as well, feeling it very, very strongly. As Paul said, this is a shallow earthquake. These are generally more damaging than deep earthquakes because they release that energy closer to the surface. Lauren, you just asked me to go to Paul. Okay, Matt, thank you for checking in with us. Paul, let's go ahead and check in with you now.
Yeah, a couple bits of information that we're gleaning. One, a quick look at the shake map. This was felt as far east as the Inland Empire, felt as far north as the Central Valley. So it's not just here where it was felt. Notice, there's the quake right there. Canaan, there's Westlake Boulevard, leaving Westlake Village, heading over west of Zuma Beach. That's the epicenter right there. A couple things. One, the initial report was a 5.1. That's why everybody's phone went off. They go off when it's a 5 or bigger. Turns out the earthquake was a 4.6. So 4.6 magnitude, but we've already begun to see some aftershocks, and it's interesting. There was the initial quake, the bigger circle. The first aftershock that was recorded was right along the PCH, just west of Zuma Beach and just east of where the 23 spills out to the 1. So we're already beginning to see some aftershocks. That was a 1.8. That is a 4.6. It was felt as far east as the Inland Empire, and the fault line that runs east-west here, it's basically a fault line that separates the Santa Monica Mountains from the LA Basin. It is called the Hollywood Fault Line, and that likely is the fault where this happened. Magnitude 4.6 in Malibu. That just happened about 7 minutes ago. Guys, back to you.
All right, Paul, thank you for that. We now want to check in with former investigative reporter David Goldstein is on the phone with us this morning. David, where are you? What did you feel?
You know, we live in Malibu. It was a jolt. You know, almost the same time my phone went off with an alert, that's when I felt the jolt. So you had the alert maybe a second before, but it was definitely a jerk and then a little rolling for a couple of seconds. And, you know, we normally in our house rarely feel the earthquakes for whatever reason. But this one definitely was a jolt and then a roll. Really, it woke you up in the morning as one of the few that we felt here. And it must have been close by.
Yeah. David, did you guys experience any damage to your home? Did things fall off the shelves? Anything in the house that looks out of place?
No, not that we've found yet. We looked around. I don't think anything's fallen off. It was a quick jolt, but it definitely, you felt a rock for a second. And, you know, it was almost the same time, as I said, as the alert. So you hear the alert and then the jolt. So the two of them really rocked you for a second. And then the roll afterward, and once you start feeling that roll, having lived here for a long time, you're wondering, is that roll going to keep going? It was a short roll. It was a jolt and a short roll. My wife and I just looked at each other and said, how long is this roll going to go? And it didn't go very long, but obviously, as we know, with aftershocks and everything, we're on alert right now.
Yeah, that is one of those things, right? You start paying attention to. We have KCAL right now over Malibu. In fact, David, taking a look at the coastline there. It looks like traffic is flowing okay. Doesn't look like this has had much impact on people's daily life. Just kind of a little bit of a surprise this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely something that gets you up in the morning. I'm looking outside, and PCH I could see is open. Doesn't seem to be a problem. There's someone outside walking their dog, one of my neighbors. So, you know, everybody a jolt to wake up in the morning if they weren't up already. And, you know, you're on alert now.
Yeah, David, you guys are in Malibu, obviously close to where this quake was centered. You guys haven't felt anything since, like you mentioned earlier, aftershocks can be stronger than the original quake many times.
And we haven't felt anything, but you know, we're looking around the house to see if anything fell or anything like that. But nothing like that yet. It was a short jolt and a roll, but certainly enough to you know, get you moving in the morning.
No doubt. You know, it really just goes to show the closer you are to the fault line, obviously the stronger the jolt. Exactly. David, you're explaining this sharp jolt, whereas we here in Studio City felt a rolling motion, just an ongoing rolling motion. So it just goes to show the destruction that's possible when you are closer on a fault line.
It is one of those reminders, I think, for people that if you haven't had a plan in place, this is the time to do it. We've started seeing, as Rachel, you've been talking about, just several of these small earthquakes all around the region, including in Landempire, Ontario. But, you know, they've been around, you know, 3.5 to 3.9. This one revised down from 5.1 to about 4.7. So, you know, we'll keep watching this. As David mentioned, we do have to be concerned about aftershocks. So, but live look at the PCH, the coastline of Malibu. Looks like things are looking okay in terms of daily life. Let's go ahead and get a check with Mark Liu. David, thanks for calling in this morning. Mark, what do you got for us at the desk?
Well, we're continuing to gather data on this. Two bits of information here. As Paul had previously mentioned, the U.S. Geological Survey now says this is a 4.7, and also this has now been reviewed by a seismologist. There is someone at the USGS office. They have now looked at this data, so we are much more confident now that this was a 4.7. As you said, it initially started as a 5.1, but that was an automated response by a computer that did its best job to figure out what the magnitude was, but after reviewing it is now a 4.7. The depth increased a little too, not 9 kilometers, now 11.5 kilometers down. And I also have some first data from the shake maps of people in Southern California who felt it and how far away they felt it. And if you come out to my screen, I can actually show you how far off this was felt. Now, what you're looking at here is the epicenter in the center of your screen, the small star that you see there. That's described as the epicenter of this 4.7 magnitude earthquake. And then these blue and green squares that you see all through Southern California here. These are self-reported instances of people who felt it. Now, the lighter blue is light shaking, very light shaking, even as far out here, way distant. That's getting closer to Santa Barbara, and even way out here in the Inland Empire by Highland, people were reported feeling it. Even down in, if you can make it, see it all the way down into the graphic, we're seeing it down in the San Diego area. But of course, the strongest shaking was felt right here. Not surprisingly, that's about medium level shaking just to the northwest in Malibu, north of Malibu, moving into the Ventura area. Of course, throughout the San Fernando Valley, they felt it, and in central LA. Now, the other thing that I want to tell you is we just got some information from LA City Fire. They are currently in what's called earthquake mode. They are all 106 fire stations are conducting a strategic survey.